내가 시기하리. 타고도에 나 라미기 나리야. 아니 차게 더 림에 되 람도 차 시기하리. 세상 림에 되 람도 차 해야지. 다 절로 틀리 냠내 여대 지기 전에 시기하리. 아니 룽기 난조 담부여 버체니 감 장매도 징토야지. 감 업도 셔서에 감마 업 양야 도. 저 드리기 누버 여대 버치. 간다 룽기 누버 숙천부 여대 버치 이베이나. 배나 안다 면 워시부터 드리기 지 두디 만나네야 지 아니 오마 태야 야 그래서 쟤는 어딘데 룽기 떡기 어딘데 제대로 와 다가는 신기이니 룽송니 룽기 배 냠냠 야고여버이나 대 치마샤 봐 치마샤 아니 룽송제 즈뮤제네 룽도서 땅베이나 치마파 비자야지 부지원나 신지 누구잖아요. 와다 들을 때디 딱 룽근난 저 담부여 다래. 아니 다가는 신기다 띵인진기 누버 숙성부잖니. 남주하는 뜻이 송야요래. 저부진 신저부진 신제 여대be 신리야 또 띵수체인데 저부 마사 대사야지 저부 법이야 저도 라라래. 딱 카가데 가르슬나 야 띵수 독세보다 되게 마 사베 저부디디 랑내야 랑자야 자야지 어떤 저부마 띵수셔니 저부마 법투버지다 랑자야 야 자투버 중이나 애니 착자만 대야기 단 느버치 애니 빌리베 다래 땡나무 루지자래 패신 자가간다 주진식 마 디마 지 가서 띵수부터 하네 신제마 법투야지 느버들래 야 자야가 느버디 매베 참제 차게만 대야 중 슈고디 아니 견shum세
So, in all four classes of Tantra, of course, there is mention of using the sensual objects and sensual pleasure and qualities or objects and experiences taking them into the path, and especially in the highest yoga tantra, there is mention of taking into the path the practice of the bliss or the desire in relation to one's consorts that one takes on, and so for this, of course, in order to be able to take on a consort now in the highest, according to the highest yoga tantra, what you need is, the use of the control that you have to have gained control over the energies and the wind vital drops, and also the within the channels and the chakras, and so without being able to without having gained control, it's not allowed to take the consort as such. And so what you need to do is through your meditation practice, you should actually bring down the vital energy and vital drops from the crown down to the tip of the genital organ, and then without actually emitting the vital drop out of the body, you should actually be able to contain it within the genital organ, and then bring it back up to the crown. And so when you have gained quite a high degree of this kind of control over the vital energy, and then it is allowed to take consorts, because and then I know some practitioners who actually have good experience of being able to do that kind of practice, and actually who have done the training of sucking milk from the genital organ and bringing it up into the body. So there are people who can do that, and then also another quality to be able to take on a concert is that you should be able to meditate, and you can have some sand in front of you, and when you point to the sand with your finger, I mean, as if you are blowing away the sand. You should be able to blow away the sand through meditation, and by pointing your finger to the sand and in front of you. So if you are able to do that, again, you have gained some control over the wind energy, and quite a good control over the wind energy. And then another test for to qualify yourself for taking on concert is that the practitioner should use this frightening mudra and look up at a fruit that is on a fruit tree, and by pointing your fingers which are held in this frightening mudra, you should be able to actually pluck the fruit and bring it down on the ground. And of course, this is easier, but then the more difficult thing is while having brought it down from the tree, you should be able to stick it up back on the tree. And so that is the difficult part. And when you're able to do that, then you can take a concert. You're qualified. So there was one Indian Mahasiddha who was able to bring the fruit down, but not able to bring it up, stick it back up. And then he later on made mistake.
kada shije wa zhe le zhu ya cha gui le li ya ni ren wa de mong wa de ye wa de zai wa de sai wa de这个他来说多啊好的这就这的难说吧da 즉走路体力냐 다走路体力时候다 가다 즉 탑식이 난저 또 땜부 chen 당아 라면 있는走路그 냐네 근데 땜부 여버 채세 아니 세수 누바 봐 심지세 야데 야 가서 우리 거기 야 띵지기 누에 야 쏘야지 변한데 지즈밀에 되네야다 라몽고고 말베 라몽고고 중리야 폐쇄 아니 제 가서 마르발로제 숨주현에 만나체 아니 왜 오투제 라몽고고 이메 용고고에서 폐쇄 아니 제 이는 그게 숨주세요 다 오투제 도스 남았다 dinner zane in lamongobe ngel the korang the kasole to kimjir 드리지 야 kada jigda kada nyore yede chadeore da di shingaliya serap somda 아니 지금에 아니 사업을 serapche serashkushmushul 파빈 말이 다 지금에 사원 줍직 담았 송도가 저 진리식다 다도요 다도 지금으로 권합니다 라마 용도 초제 산에 둘러체 가다가들이 뇌에 여덟 차대가 그래 그래서 진리 전에 이 서벌체 되네 주관에 수 로비드 전에 세레 세셔베 차 치우드는 뭔구지 로든데 랑간 콩스탄니 엔디디 주제 그래서 두두 주제 에노 라몽오베 종리아 추페 땅아데 최초가 용변이지 서버가 용변스 다 전화가 서버스 손다 차치고 되지 시샤스 제 shum체 아데 더 쉬리 디슈즈는 라몽오베 나는 되냐게 맞지스 엔 계속 말이 손에 엔 띵은들이 야버쇼 세고 뚝사다 차치고 상으로 피친도 어디 드르체디 세소 뉴버사들이 세야가 뉴버지 여다가 소야가 뉴버여다 근데 지금 딱 문제 되는 게 말이야. 사고도요. 아니 가서 가서 좀 가지면 지금 가서 가서 준비한다. DALAI 청주 쪽 매래 작인도 뒤더 직 가서 지게 받이 정도에 간다 남시 반네 남시 최지 인수야 장네 난저가 랑기 에 명매 회사가 냠버샤 에네 바로 남시도 세 독세는 남시 빠르 제니 어디 간다 에네 가서 지지하라래 냐 바로 수 선언 총라 되네 베디드장 되는 남시 바드 가서 숨줘 정도에 숨줘 가서 되면 돼 풀버 달래시면 그래도 돼 매래 작인도 여러다 어떤 매래 작인도 그래도 되지 가서 룽 출룽 철룽 철룽 출룽 엔 그래 철룽 출룽 딱 하나이네 남시반이 덕신이야 진짜야 남사별 상제 두기면도 관심인데 가다 나라메 남냠리 신게 땡직 토야지기 땡켜지기 예배이나 어다 땡지기 가서 그게 샤당 남지기 아니 세례사 주체리 용기하리 도스레만도 다 하셔야 말이 다가서 상하게 지 나다 지 중국의这个 团에 다 나다 콜루주니 샤리야 내가 잡이나 야 배시 신지 뒤집이다 지가 간다이네 지단도 송 배주 로자 주신 소말이 로자 주신 게 전주 쓰면은 아니 대주 망야 루즈티스 상하게 대주 시부 샤베이나 루즈르게 내가 요리스 송도가 즉 전주 쓰면 돈이 있다 대주 저기 쓰면 뭐 주나 띵에 주고야 돼 나도 뭔가 지금 상하게 해주나 아니 가서 상하게 아니 지 소소다 메시지 지 세트야 아니 노스와야 아니 원두셔야 아니 소소 막았을 때 아니 작래쳐야 때내전이 간다 천디난 게 된다리야 다 비주셔야 용되게 도와 그저 소소 자체가 그러셔 아니 상아 체주셔야 되시면 상하태양 최대建设다 최단 노주 원도 문주소 천대 차라코나 켜하니 사조 전된 소라 전자에 최진에서 주고 마찬 송셔 들어도
Through one's practice of Tantra, what one needs to gain is the practices whereby you are able to actually bring people after having, or people or beings after having killed them, bring them back to life. And so, in order to be able to do certain tantric practices, such as wrathful practices, which are in very exceptional cases allowed to do, called by the practitioners, such as killing, and then also making people totally bewildered in their mind, and also driving the evil forces away, and also freezing people through the magic mantras and so forth. And so the practitioner, in order to be able to do these, must have a very, very firm and strong, stable experience of both the method and the wisdom aspects of the path. And then in the highest Yoga Tantra, one should be able to one should have reached the point of practice where you are able to kill somebody and then bring the being back to life again. And so the Jesuit Milarepa once went to Marpa and didn't receive any teachings, but then he went to Lama Ngokpa, and out of desperation for teaching, he went and received teachings from him. And at one point, Lama Ngokpa actually asked Jesuit Milarepa to bring down hailstones. And Jesuit Milarepa, since he has received this instruction and practiced the such called a magic, black magic. I mean, through pointing out instructions, he was able to do that, and he actually pointed his finger up in space and then brought down a huge hailstone and hailstorm. And then, because he has received this kind of instruction from Yungden Chogyel before meeting Lama Ngokpa, and so he used that skill and brought down the hailstone and caused a hailstorm. And then, when he left Lama Ngokpa's place, on the way he found lots of dead bodies of birds. And so, as he saw the dead bodies, he gathered them, collected them, and collected some of these the dead bodies as much as possible. And then he went back to Lama Ngokpa and said, "Look, I came to you for teaching of Dharma, not to commit such an evil deed of killing all these animals." And he spoke to Lama Ngokpa while crying and complaining about this. And then Lama Ngokpa said, "Don't worry." And Lama Ngokpa did some practice, and then he snapped his finger, and at the snap of his finger, what happened was that all the birds gained life and again and flew away. And so this shows that Lama Ngokpa had actually gained that kind of the skill and the power to kill somebody and bring the person or the being back to life. And then through this kind of practice of bringing them back to life, and what Lama Ngokpa also was able to do was that the yogi, the consciousness of the animals could also be led up to the Pure Land, paradise, and so that they gain the opportunity for reaching enlightenment in a very, very swift manner as well. And so in this kind of practice, what happens is that the yogi actually meditates, and he merges his mind with the mind of the dead being, and then the dead being's consciousness is brought back into life or body, or led up to highest the Sukhavati land and so forth. And so until you have a really you are fully confident about this kind of practice and skill, and one should not engage in the practices of the wrathful practices of Tantra and so forth. And these are not just called simple practices or experiences. One must not take them lightly, and because it is said that Lhodak Drupchen Namga Yeltsin has said that without having the practice, the experience of bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, but just by reciting mantras, what would happen is you would be doing all these practices, but then it will lead you to be born as a Rudra in the next life after death. And so tantric practice these days are used for gaining wealth, power, and so forth, which is not the purpose of tantric practice. And so Jungdang Tenpe Döme has said that people use tantric practices for gaining wealth, for overcoming sicknesses, and so forth, just for this life, and then they cause. And so he instructs us not to use tantra for trivial means that would otherwise lead you to lower realms of existence. So when you do this, then when you use tantra for this life, for the purpose of this life alone, then you are actually misusing it.
다 기도